Welcome to the carnage.
And welcome back to the carnage, everybody. Today we're going to go over some, basically feminists are kind of changing their motto, their agenda, so to speak, versus, saying it's all men or I hate all men. Now they're trying to kind of curb that a little bit and get into a little bit more detail where it's like, it's not all men, but it's enough of them to warrant, these feelings that we have, right? So more or less the reason for that is because on a grand scale, modern feminism has just failed miserably and nobody's really taken to the messaging that they have, and they've pretty much figured out the hard way that alienating such a large portion of the population to their agenda is probably not the best way to go, and because of that it's just been a PR failure for them. So they're trying now to, circumvent some of the things that they've said and change their wording a bit. But before we get into that, I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen the new Supergirl trailer or not. I swear to God, DC is always like 5 years behind the curve. Recently Disney let go Kathleen Kennedy. Big portion of the reason why is that more or less 80% of her Star Wars since The Mandalorian has been an epic failure. I mean, Andor's pretty good, but she really didn't have a whole lot as far as vision goes to that. So that's more or less, Andor doing as well as it did. She didn't have her hand in the cookie jar. That's a big reason for it. And I feel like Andor is more or less the reason that kind of showed the powers that be that, okay, maybe it is Kathleen Kennedy. Maybe it is her woke agenda bullshit. Maybe it's her feminist crap that's turning off so many people to these movies and these franchises, and she needs to go. So Supergirl is an upcoming movie. And the Superman movie that just came out like last year, it didn't do well. I don't want to say it was a great movie. I watched it. It was okay. And it was a Superman movie, right? And the movie itself didn't have a whole lot of, woke agenda and, dudes with beards kissing and, all this crap that they keep trying to shove down our throats. But I watched the Supergirl trailer the other day because I saw a picture of Jason Momoa as Lobo. And Lobo is one of my favorite, villains ever. I love Lobo. And so I was like, okay, watch the trailer. And I'm like, all right, hey, this is looking all right. Not real hip with who they got to play Supergirl. She seems undersized. She's tiny, whatever. And then we get to the end of that trailer and the dog pees on a picture of Superman and she says, "Good job, boy." That pissed me off because I know exactly what this movie's going to be about. You would think that they learned with Birds of Prey. I mean, was an epic $1 million failure. They've tried to scrub that movie off of streaming services. Nobody mentions that movie. Nobody talks about that movie. And it actually led to 3 movies being canceled and them just completely killing off the Harley Quinn saga. So I see that happening again with this anti-male woke feminist slop that the DC is trying to put down our throat. And James Gunn, at this point, I feel like he just needs to stick to make an HBO series or, maybe do some kind of, to TV movies or something. Because, man, this guy is just an absolute fuck up. And when you think of male feminists, James Gunn should probably be the guy that you imagine as the poster child of that. But let's go ahead and get into the videos, and here we go.
Women who hate men constantly get told that it's not all men, and they always just specify there are good ones out there, invalidating. But when are you guys going to realize that men hate women, and that's why we have a problem? If men are collectively doing this to women and it's a systemic problem, it's a problem with how women are seen, not men hating specific women. Because these men will only be really appeased if you be the perfect woman for them, because they're not actually seeing you as a person, they're seeing you as their property. They feel entitled to you, and people who feel entitled to others do not see them as people. They don't respect them, they don't like them.
This coming from a generation of women that are the most entitled, group of people that I can even think of at this point in time. You're talking about a group of people that honestly live on easy mode, right? If you're an attractive woman and you felt the need, you could go work at one of those clubs, which ones I'm talking about, or you could work for a certain online website, Only Freaks. You can make a living that way. A lot of women do. Men don't have those options, so calling men entitled is it's just next level, just absolute stupidity.
I know there are good men. I know it's not technically all men, but think of good men in your life that don't actually do the vile, hostile things that a lot of men do on average.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out.
will that man complain about the male loneliness epidemic? When you say I hate all men, do they bring up reasons why they're not like all men? And it's not all men? A lot of the good men are also too worried about how they look. It's hard for them to see you as an equal when they're burdened by their own problems and they don't know how to look within.
Well, first off, we're not equal. I know that really upsets a lot of women, but it's just fact. I'm not talking about equal pay. I'm not talking about, equal rights. I'm not talking about any kind of equality that stems from anything to do with the normal human element and experience. What I'm talking about is at the level of biology, right? We're faster, we're stronger. That's just fact. And I know it really upsets a lot of women, and it is what it is. But if we were equal on that footing, then that would be equal across the board. And it's not. But you are specifically talking about the equality of outcome, not the equality of hard work and perseverance that women do not put in. Most women, I should say, do not put in on a day-to-day basis.
A lot of them don't know how to just look within and realize it's a bigger systemic problem. It's not women who are doing this to you. A lot of the times when women bring up their issues, men will make it about themselves somehow, and that's also part of the problem.
That's funny. That's absolutely hilarious. I can't think of a video that I've seen in the last 5 years where it's like on Reels or YouTube Shorts, a guy comes out and he's like, these are men's struggles, and you'll have 50 million women in the comments. We go through that too, but what about us? It's like, really? You got to make everything about you. So she's doing everything to outwardly look at men and all the shit she does and then turn it around and say men do it. It's absolutely asinine.
As women, we deal with these men all the time, on a daily basis. It's exhausting. And now you want us to specify that it's not all men because that's more important to you, that you don't feel hurt. I genuinely think once men actually stop taking everything so personal and realize that it's actually okay to sit with your shame. And
we don't have shame. Sorry. I know that a lot of women think that men, sit in the basement, rocking back and forth. Are like, oh, why don't women like me? We don't do that. Sorry. I mean, there might be men out there that are desperate enough that probably act like that. I'm not saying that, men across the board, but the majority of men, especially the men that I know, they're not sitting there thinking, man, it's really bad that women make these videos and say all men are like this. And, I got to run and be the white knight of men and say, it's not all men. It's not all of us. Like, I don't know a man on the planet that even gives a rat's ass.
Grow from it. It's actually what you need to do. Once they can sit with their shame is when they can actually make real change. And it's when they'll actually be able to hear us out and get started on fixing this fucking world and how women are treated.
We heard you. Why do you think we don't approach you anymore? Why do you think when we're in the gym, some of us are wearing dark shades and glasses so you can't see our eyes so we could just work out without you glancing over and me looking in your general vicinity? And you're like, oh my God, it's a creep. I got to get him blasted on the internet. What a loser. What a gooner. It's like, I was looking at the front door. Somebody just entered the building. I wasn't looking at you.
I think that men are valuable in the sense that they provide. That's about it.
Do you hate
that goes
men?
for everyone. Kind of, yeah. I would say in my world with men, you're guilty until proven innocent.
I'm strongly advising that you get your shit together.
Do you have any brothers?
I do have a brother. I have an older brother, yeah.
Do you hate him?
No.
Is his only worth to provide for you?
No, he doesn't provide for me. He's my brother. I love him.
So he has worth outside of providing for you?
Yeah, he's my brother. I love him.
What about your father? Same thing?
He's my father.
So just every other man except your immediate family, they're not valuable unless they're providing for you?
They're not valuable until they prove to me that they're valuable.
By providing for you?
Sure, it could be providing for me, yeah.
What are the other ways they could prove it?
No, actually, I think it's just providing. You're right.
Lizard, 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 lizard. Lizard.
Exactly. I like how Andrew knew exactly what she was going to say. He honed in on that specific part of her argument, knowing full well that she was just going to backtrack and be like, yeah, now, I really only like men who, simp over me and buy me stuff. Yeah, you're right, Andrew. You're right.
And I quote from Mary Ann Franks, "Society would be better off as a whole if more women were willing to engage in justified violence against men." She continues, "To that end, women's just..."
That'd be the day. That would be the day if they just said, hey, we're going to make this equal, right? Even playing field. And seeing like a 5'2", 90-pound woman take a swing at like a 6'6", 265-pound guy. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen, guys.
Justified violence against men should be encouraged, protected, and publicized. So this is proof that feminism since the beginning hasn't even been about rights, it's always been about revenge. When you openly call for the justification of public violence against half of the population, that's really not about equality, so don't let feminists tell you it's about equality. It never has been.
No, she's right. It never has been, and it never will be. It has nothing to do with equality, because if you think about it, in our society right now, I can't think of one thing that men have a right to that women don't. In fact, I can think of a few things that women have more rights to than men do. And specifically, one of those being one of the bigger ones that they harp on is sexual autonomy. They have the ability to have the baby or not have the baby. They have full control over that. And men have absolutely no say in that. Right. So if it was up to us, where there was a birth control for men to take, I'm sure most men would definitely take the birth control to avoid these situations. So accidents happen, right? And that's what I'm mostly talking about. I'm not talking about a desperate guy who, cheesed in some woman and got her pregnant and then didn't want to take responsibility. I'm talking about, he had a condom or she lied. I'm on the pill. It's okay. And then something happens and there's a baby. And then she at that point has full control over the destiny of not only the baby, but of that man's next 18 years of his future.
Men going their own way. What do you think about that group? Or men who are doing that?
It's a hard thing to admit, but it's understandable why they would choose to go their own way. And that's what's scary, is there's actually a rational reason why they would do that. If you're being told all your life that you are bad and wrong just for being a man, and that you have toxic masculinity for being a man, and that, women, there's this famous feminist expression that, a woman needs a man just like a fish needs a bicycle. And that men are basically useless. And that men are terrible, and that, women are superior. How would you feel? I mean, you're not going to feel that attracted to a woman or care to be loving towards her or romantic towards her.
Why are women more concerned with the ratio of male to female CEOs as opposed to the ratio of lower paid, dangerous, dirty jobs done mostly by men?
Because women are smarter than men.
Oh, why are...
No. It's because, as far as I know, and the data and facts back it up, women are not going in droves to apply to be a garbage collector. They're not applying in droves to be plumbers. They're not in droves applying to be, a steel worker or working in the mines or being an oil rigger or going out doing the fishing or any of that. They're not in droves doing that. Instead, what they are doing in droves is going to the most cushiony jobs possible, right? So, working in an office, answering a telephone, being a secretary, being a nurse, and I'm not saying nurse isn't hard. They do have some, they do have some crap where being a nurse sucks. Trust me. But ultimately, I'd much rather be a nurse than working in a coal mine 15 hours a day.
Men such trash. We are saying they're trash and they're taking it personally, like I'm particularly saying, hi, you are trash.
It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
I made a TikTok about how I think all men are like trash these days.
Like, if I could go through life without interacting with men, that sounds like paradise.
Everyone does it. Now you can do it too. Shut the fuck up. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Shut the hole in your face. Like that. You can do it. Shh. And shut the fuck up.
Whatever comes to your head that women are just naturally better at than men.
I was going to say everything.
And yourself?
My gut reaction was everything.
I can't answer that without being sexist.
We need to kill all men. I am sick of being a baby factory that produces more men.
Who in their right minds is having babies with that? Guys, if any of you are in any way, shape, or form having babies with this woman, please do me a favor and comment below so I could roast you.
Men that will just, in the future, subjugate me. So the only answer to that is to kill male babies and just kill any man that you see, like in the streets, like any swing chick, just kill him.
Could you imagine if I made a video saying the exact same thing, but towards women? Do you have any idea what would happen to me if I was like, guys, we need to be out here and we need to preach genocide here. Dude, I would not only lose my platform, even men who follow me for my content, even they would be like, dude, wait a minute, man. I'm cool with you and all when you're talking about what you're talking about, but that went over the line.
So this men going their own way movement is a reaction to that. I really think it's a rational reaction to that. Men are finally like, hey, we've given you all you want. You know, you are equal in every way, and then you're still shaming us.
Yeah.
So for a lot of the men, and a lot of them have gotten screwed over in terrible relationships and divorces, and gotten their kids taken away from them. So it's an understandable response.
Feminism in 2022 is no longer about equality. Feminism in 2022 is about the hatred of men and the superiority of women. For example, 60% of all college attendees are now women. Now, I have no problem with this because I'm all about freedom of choice. So if young men choose to not go to college, they don't have to go to college. But when you ask a feminist why women have 60% representation in colleges, this is what they'll often say.
And what really irritates me about that stat is that they don't add in trade school as a college. So trade schools are completely excluded from that. It's just universities and community colleges that are part of that study and a part of the data. You would actually find that more men found out that it's actually as lucrative to go to trade school and learn how to be a mechanic or learning how to, do like civil engineering and those types of things, that it's equally as beneficial financially to do those jobs, even though they're a little bit harder than your typical, working as a CEO, telling everybody else what to do kind of thing. But a lot of men like to work with their hands. They like to have a trade. They like skills. And so they don't add that. If they actually added that, I would think that men typically, if they added trade school, that number would be either a lot closer or men would actually be a little bit higher in that specific category.
Because women are smarter than men.
But when men represented 60% of all college attendees, it was because women were oppressed. So the mentality is if women are doing good, it's proof that they're superior, but if they're doing bad, it's proof of oppression. And when I say that feminism teaches women to hate men, when you have terms like all men are trash, when you have terms like the future is female, when you have terms like kill all men, there's nothing empowering about that. That's just pure hate speech. If I said all women are trash, if I said the future is male, if I said kill all women, that would not be considered a bold statement. That would not be considered a promotion of equality. That would be considered hate speech, which is exactly what it is, by the way. Feminism teaches women to hate men. It's okay to hate ideas. And by the way, I hate the idea of feminism, but it's not okay to hate people. Till next time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the difference between like guys like me and, the typical feminist, like what's her name, Sheer Seven or whatever, the sprinkle lady, is that I'm not promoting in any way, shape, or form for men to treat women bad. What I'm trying to do is make sure that men are aware of all the obstacles that they have in front of them in life when it comes to women and the type of behavior that you're probably going to interact with at least once in your life. It's just going to happen. I mean, it's happened to me plenty of times. I know plenty of men where it's happened to them more times than they can count.
You were trolled. Were you trolled mainly by men or were you trolled by women as well?
I was trolled by men saying that I should be put in an asylum because I was crazy, that I should be raped and hurt because of what I think, which they did not know because they had not read the book. And also that I was ugly, which is always very nice.
But when women and men read I hate men, what do you want to happen? Are you in this book trying to make society better, or are you actually closing off the possibility that it can be better?
I find it hilarious that she writes a book, I hate men, and then does her absolute best to look like one. How does that make sense, right? She's got a flannel on. She looks very masculine. Like, I'll hate all men. Men are horrible. Well, if that's the case, then why are all these women always trying to be like men, right? They want to look like us. They want to talk like us. They want to walk like us. They want to, buck like us. They want to do everything that we do. But we're a problem because we do it, and it's okay for them to do it. But, at the same time, it's, all men are horrible, even though we are exactly like them. We want to be exactly like them down to the freaking clothes they wear.
I want to allow women to feel and express the anger that I know that they're feeling because I felt it, and a lot of women that have read the book now have told me they felt it. Because we are not allowed to express this anger because we are women and we must be so nice and so polite. What I propose is being able to say, I won't deal with men so long as they are not worth my time and my affection. And maybe it's something that we don't say enough. I think we shouldn't settle for less, and we shouldn't agree to be with just mediocre men because it's just the way things are.
Yeah, and men heard you, and that's why you're all making videos like, why don't men approach us anymore? Like they just don't even talk to us anymore. Well, because of this. We heard you, and now you're mad we heard you, and you're basically fighting this internal war in yourself where you want men to be traditional, but at the same time you want men to give up their entire identity of being a man and just be some kind of freaking wallet robot that buys you stuff, treats you like a princess, and all of these things. And then at the same time saying, well, we don't want to deal with men that aren't worth our time. Well, you're never going to know whether or not they're worth your time because you make videos and books about how much you hate men.
An uncomfortable conversation that needs to be had is that our generation has been raised by women who hate men. I'm not just talking about mothers, I'm talking about school teachers, I'm talking about therapists, anybody that played a role in a child's development. They have actively tried to teach us that masculinity is toxic, but the truth is their negative experiences that they had with men were not of the nature of masculinity. It was the fact that the man himself was toxic, completely separate of masculinity. Now, obviously, there are a bunch of women who, don't hate men, but the problem is that academia and the media have been pushing this narrative to suppress masculinity and masculine traits such as assertiveness or leadership under the scope of them being dangerous. Men have been taught to feel ashamed of themselves and to respect women, but never what to do when a woman disrespects you. And this doesn't just have negative effects on men, it's women too. There are so many women of the younger generations that actively have this negative attitude towards men that's extremely prevalent, and anybody with an IQ above 5 understands this if they go out in public, where it's like they're very entitled and they're disrespectful towards men. And obviously it's not all of them, but it's something that needs to be addressed. And no, I don't think this makes me oppressed. I'm not throwing a pity party, but it is an issue that I believe that we need to address.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of these women who are single mothers that raised sons did so by alienating the father and then lying about the father and making sure that her child basically hated their father, whether there was cause or not, right? And a lot of the time there wasn't cause. They just didn't work out. She got mad, hurt, upset, whatever, and made up some, story about their father. Oh, he's a horrible person. He did this and this and this. And you're finding out more and more, there's a lot more of these videos coming out where you're seeing kids reuniting with their father after 20 years, and they're like, my dad is nothing like my mom said he was, and she took all of this time away from me and my father's relationship. I will never forgive her for that. And a lot of these kids are now cutting off relationships with their mothers because of it. So that's what you have to look forward to, ladies, if that's what your plan is to have a bunch of baby daddies and then cut these children off from their fathers just because you want to live on Uncle Sam's welfare.
Being friends with women in this generation is getting more and more impossible. I usually just stay at the house and read some books because women are really, really hard to be friends with right now. It's something about this generation specifically that makes them, actually so insufferable. Every woman is claiming that they hate all men, and I cannot get behind that train of thought. How disrespectful to your father, your brothers, your future son, your future husband. I will never in my life understand that train of thought because it's these same women that are going to wake up in their 30s, single and alone, and wondering what happened. Why am I alone right now? And it's well, if you hadn't spent your 20s saying awful things about men, maybe you could have settled down. But instead, you're going to sit there, 40 years old, listening to Taylor Swift with a bunch of cats around you. Can't we all just be nice to men? For once, please.
Yeah, I totally agree with her, and that's why I added that video. I've seen a few of her videos, and she's very adamant about women nowadays, specifically women of her generation and age group, where she hears it so much and all the time that she just doesn't want to be friends with these women, And she made a video at one point. She had a friend, they were close, and she really started going down that feminist path, and she broke off all complete contact and relationship with this person because she just could not deal with her anti-male, I hate all men mentality. But let me know what you guys think. As far as going down the path, is feminism at this point, I feel like in main media, has it proven its point that it's not about equality, that it's for sure about just hating men and competing with men and doing everything they can to try to emasculate men to the point where we just are like, okay, ladies, you go ahead, take over. And even if we did that, how many women are actually going to go out and do what men do? You know, I guarantee not a large portion of them. So let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you all on the next video.